News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Can you believe it? The election's tomorrow. And this is it. This is our last night together before the election and the craziness. And I do feel strongly that we're going to win. And I believe the word for it is the best way to describe it. I've been telling you a solid win for a week or two now that we're going to win. It'll be a solid win. But I do believe now a better way of saying it is a small landslide. I think we'll have a small landslide tomorrow. I think you're going to see Trump win Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, which means he wins, period, flat out. I think that also you'll have it by tomorrow night. It'll be called. And if not, the next day, but it's not going to be a drawn-out long thing, and it's going to be by enough margin with the Democrats, as much as they're going to want to say he cheated or there's fraud or, it was rigged. It's going to be by enough of a margin in enough states where it's just going to be too difficult to even think of. It'll be too much to contemplate fighting, and they'll look terrible and be hurt badly by it. And yes, I was asked about rioting from one of my colleagues here. Do you think there's going to be a riot? Yes, I do believe they're going to riot and freak out in Washington, D.C. They have already boarded up a lot of places. You can see it on my Twitter feed, the Daily Mail talking about that. We're going to get into that later. But yes, unfortunately, you're going to see it. The National Guard has been made at the ready in many of the cities that rioted, were looted, and were burned down, thanks to the St. George fentanyl, blessed be his name, riots. And so that's kind of what I'm feeling on that. But here, we're going to win. I believe we're going to win. And my question for you is, who do you think will win this election and why? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Well, I wanted to share this before we go to Linda in Dallas call. Actually, I promised to go to her first, so let's do that, and I'll share some more of the details as promised in a moment. Linda, Dallas, hello. Welcome to the WBAP. Hi.
Hi. Hey, I've got a question.
Mm-hmm.
The celebrities that are showing up to endorse Harris.
Yeah, tonight it'll be Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, and Popra. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard they were being reimbursed for showing up.
I did hear that Kamala paid Beyonce $10 million. I don't know if that's true. I wouldn't be surprised if they're being paid. I don't know for sure, though. I don't know for sure. And
yeah. Yeah, I heard that, too. And it wouldn't be a shock because they could probably claim that as a campaign expense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So if they got $1 gazillion, so if they have to
yeah, she's got $1 billion. $1 billion. Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, and something that I heard that was hopeful was that the president of Goya.
Yeah, he's a huge Trump supporter. The president of Goya. They're in Miami now, I think. Go ahead. Yeah,
but Trump met with him and some other guys, and they prayed over him.
Yes, absolutely. The evangelical community is a huge supporter of President Trump, and he is a huge supporter of theirs. And there's a direct communication between many evangelical top leaders, like my pastor from First Baptist Dallas, who also happens to be one of my sponsors, Dr. Robert Jeffress. So, yeah, absolutely. I got to say, isn't it remarkable that the woman was handed $1 billion and has been given the support by everybody that is a part of the Democrat infrastructure, and she still is not going to be able to get over the line? Isn't that remarkable?
Yeah, I think it's amazing that she has as many people voting for her as she does, honestly. Because you have to just not have a clue about what her intentions are.
No, I think that they trust her and they're blind loyalists and they hate Trump. It's emotional. That's what I mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
Does it make sense when you have an emotional decision, you are willing to overlook the things that you're talking about? It's emotional. It's not factual.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the Bible says that people are going to go and they want to hear what their itching ears want to hear.
Yes. I mean,
and so you don't. Yeah, you want to hear it. You want to hear that everything is okay, and that there's no invasion at the border,
Yeah.
And they just nix all this bad stuff going on.
Well, it's not that there's not an invasion, but it's that immigrants, they call them, they don't call them illegals. Immigrants or migrants, which are illegals, and they have no business being here, but they call them migrants as if they have some legitimacy here. They think they're great. They think they're great. They're madly passionate about supporting them and defending them and having them invade this country. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you. 800-288-WBAP is our number. That's 800-288-9227. Who do you think will win this election and why? I am predicting a clear, solid victory. I think we're going to win by 300 or more electoral college votes, and I think it's going to be a small landslide. Small. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. And let me give you some more on why I feel this way. This from Fox News today. Trump confident based on early voting, while black leaders say Harris is struggling, as I've been telling you for weeks. The news that late deciders are breaking her way, it is true by more than 10%. Guess what, though? It's still not going to be enough. Registration figures favor Republicans, which is extremely rare. In Pennsylvania, in 2020, listen to this, Democrats in Pennsylvania in 2020, as far as registrations, had a 7.5% advantage in registrations. Now it's shrunk to a 3% edge. So it's basically what I told you, it's halved. The registration, the early voting, the leads have been halved from the previous election. Just 39% of Democrats who have voted so far are men compared to 49% among Republicans. So there is a 10% male lead in early voting for Republicans over the Democrats in Pennsylvania. Democrat strategist who appears on MSNBC said the Pennsylvania electorate is much more Republican and much more male than last time. Remember, if you caught this, what Fetterman said. What's his name? John Fetterman, right? The senator. And he said, I think John, I can't remember his first name. Anyway, he said that the loyalty and the support for Trump is extremely intense. He says you go to this place, it's like a warehouse, it's massive, and it's got like Trump gear. He's like, I went in there, it was insane. They have Trump gear that you can't even think about. Like, oh my gosh, they have this, they have that. He's like the intense passion for this man is off the charts. He was as he described it, he couldn't grasp. He said he had no idea the depth and the level of mad passion for this man in Pennsylvania and working people. And that is a big deal that is not going to be quantified until tomorrow. And I think it's going to be very good. All right, I have more I wanted to share with you coming up next on the Chris Krok Show at 9:17. The ex-Obama campaign manager, Jim Messina, is admitting something that is a little scary. Some of the numbers, some of the trends, and I will share those with you next, and spells more good news for us. And then also a former Reagan speechwriter and research employee for Reagan speaks out and says, here are the hidden Trump voters who will decide. And he tells you why, and it reminds him of Reagan's time. And I think that is what we have. Then also I want to get into the economy some more. And I want to get into, if you think enough people out there are going to hold their nose and vote for a man they cannot stand only because of the results he will bring and that he's brought before, or are his unfavorables so bad, so high, that most fence sitters will choose to vote for Kamala instead? And is inflation a top issue for you in your vote for president? And if so, why? And I'm going to tell you something. As we speak, my mind is going back to when I go outside, do my yard work or in the house, and I listen to Fox News, and I'm hearing Trump, and when he's going nuts and having fun with these reporters, and people are acting all flabbergasted and angry. And I know it's going to happen again for 4 years, and I look forward to it. I look forward to laughing my butt off out loud when I'm hearing him talk during a press conference or something. They play some of the reactions. It's great to watch their heads explode. So we're going to get into the economy and how important is that to you. And if you think enough people out there are going to say, you know what, I don't like this guy at all, I really can't stand him, but I want to take care of my family and my food and my ability to pay for it and buy things and afford to live. And I want my 401k to go back up. And I want to be able to go on vacation with money I can't even access right now because I don't make enough. That's coming up next on the Chris Krok Show at News Talk 820 WBAP at 9:17. And our number is 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227.
I'm still weighing it. I know my mind wants to do one thing, my heart wants to do another thing.
My mind wants to do one thing. This is a Pennsylvania voter. This encapsulates so much of what I want to hit tonight. The thrust of many things I want to hit tonight. My mind wants to do something else. But my heart says, let's do this. What that is emotionally, I know Orange Man bad, but physically, I can't pay my bills. I can't afford groceries. And so I don't have time to vote for Kamala and hope to God it gets better somehow when I know what's going to happen. It's going to be 4 more years. The ex-Obama campaign manager, Jim Messina, admits early voting data is scary. A little scary, he said. Several of my Democrat friends have called me panicking. Republicans didn't do what they did last time. Republican early vote turnout has jumped in 4 battleground states that reveal party breakdown. A jump of 9 points in Arizona, 9 points in North Carolina, 4 points in Nevada, 22 points in Pennsylvania. Relative to 2020 in terms of return mail and early votes. Huge jumps, guys. Huge. Female voter turnout down. Listen to this. That's supposed to be totally Kamala. Female voter turnout down 170,000 in Arizona. Down 47,000 in Georgia. Down 205,000 in Michigan. Down 154,000 in North Carolina. Down 126,000 in Nevada. Down 451,000 in Pennsylvania, down 238,000 in Wisconsin relative to 2020. Bad news for the Democrats, especially when I read earlier that Republicans are outnumbering Democrats in 3 of the 7 swing states. In one of them, the lead has been cut in half, Democrat over Republican in early voting. That's Pennsylvania. It's bad look right now. Let's go to Debbie. You are in Waxahachie. This is WBAP.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
We have heard on various news reports that our service members have had trouble getting their ballots. That happened a couple days ago that came out. And then again today, I saw a report about that, but nothing as to how that's being corrected for. And I just don't know how we can have a valid election when we have a whole part of our population that can't get a ballot.
I have not seen that at all. Where did you get that from?
I heard it on the radio. I listen to talk radio on and off throughout the day, and I saw it on the Western Journal, and I think I also saw it on Newsmax.
Okay.
I'm not 100% about Newsmax, but I'm absolutely certain about the Western Journal, and I saw that.
Yeah, I got it right here from the Military Times. Many military ballots won't be counted until after Election Day. I don't know if that's part of it. Oh, here we go. GOP lawmakers sound the alarm on military voting.
Right.
Says
right.
from
3 of them.
Yeah, from Fox. So I will share some of that coming up in a little bit. They're demanding answers from the Pentagon for receiving complaints about inadequate resources to help military service members vote. Well, I'll read through it more and we'll let you know. You know what's interesting? A lot of times what happens is the margin's not big enough either way to knowing how many they have that are coming in. But when they do matter, that it does matter, and they'll delay as my guesstimation. But I will share the information I gather from that story. I'll read it and share it in a few minutes. Do you agree with me that Trump's going to win tomorrow, and it'll be a small landslide, and because of they don't want 4 more years of this, and they have a candidate that is vapid and doesn't have any answers and doesn't have anything to say other than you're going to get the same thing for the next 4 years? There's nothing I can think about off the top of my head that I would do differently than Joe.
Well, I totally agree with what you described about Kamala Harris. You know, she's a total Marxist, and we will be a communist nation in nothing flat if she gets the White House.
I think that's why she doesn't want to give us any answers on anything, because that's how she really feels.
Absolutely.
Other than she said her values haven't changed. Debbie, I appreciate your call.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Johnny in Dallas. Hello, Johnny. What do you got?
Hey,
WBAP.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good. Hey, so, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a small landslide, but it should be a huge landslide. But you can't get people to wake up, obviously. Some people just live in a tunnel.
Well, that happens to us, too, with some people.
Yeah, but, my other side of this is we need to wake up the entire deal of there needs to be term limits on Congress and Senate as well. If there's a term limit on presidents, then there should be a term limit on Congress and Senate. How do you go in and make $150, let's say $200,000 ballpark, let's just ballpark it, and turn that into billions because you spend 50 years there or 30 years there or 25 years there. And the other side of that is how do you get to vote your own raise, and how do you have a total different health care than anybody else that you're putting on health care? Right.
What do you think about who will win this election and who will and why? Do you agree with me?
I 100%. Trump is going to win. That's my God, hope, and Christian belief. And the reason I believe with you is very simple. You can't live the way we're living. You can't turn this country into a Marxist. I'm a retired veteran. We're giving our country away.
Yes, we are.
If we give it away, all we fought for was nothing.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you, and we are. I've been saying that for several years under this administration now, because they literally are prostituting our country. They're letting anybody have their way with it, and it's disgusting. Thank you for your service, Johnny.
Well, one last thing is...
I got to go. You got 5 seconds. Go.
One last thing is, remember, there's never been a fight on our soul. If we give it away, there will be a conflict on our soul.
Good. Well said, Johnny. Thank you, brother. Okay, coming up next on the Chris Krok Show, inflation and is really it. And it's really interesting. We're going to talk about what the left thinks and how it is rich getting richer and the middle class getting poorer and the poor getting even poorer. That is coming up next on the Chris Krok Show, and that's why Kamala will lose as well, strongly. That's coming up next on the Chris Krok Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. That's at 9:33 on WBAP. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. This is going to creep you out like a horror movie or something. This is Kamala at 3 different rallies saying the exact same thing at the exact same time, and it's overlaid so you can hear it together. It really is frightening or like super creepy or Orwellian or something really bizarre to me. It really makes my skin crawl. And this is on my Twitter feed, at Chris Krok Show. That's at Chris Krok Show, CHRISKROK. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Same handle, all 3 of them.
Are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America?
The hand gestures are the exactly what she just said. Her hands went up. If you're watching me on the Facebook live feed, at Chris Krok Show, that's at Chris Krok Show, CHRISKROK. She holds them up like this at the same time. Every hand gesture is the exact same at the same time at 3 different rallies. You can see the video and you're listening to the audio. Here's some more. Oh my gosh, her hand pump, everything's the exact, every single move, guys. This is damn frightening. What the heck? I'm going to rewind it 5 seconds so you can hear the last 10 seconds of this.
Are you ready to make...
Okay, that is, I swear, that's like a horror movie. This woman literally speaks the same words every time in front of the same audiences. Her hand gestures are exactly the same from this 30-second piece. Every hand gesture, her fist pumping, her arms coming up together, every single, and pointing, dun, 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 everything. She's an actress. And a socialist, Marxist, Democrat. This is insane. Anyway, she's going to lose tomorrow. And look, I admit something. I agree with a buddy of mine who says that, yes, Kamala won the last several days, and some last-minute voters are going to flip to her because Trump has shot himself in the foot several times today, yesterday, the day before. The new one is, someone going to try to assassinate me. They're going to have to shoot their way through the press first. That might not necessarily be a bad thing, whatever he said. That's just who he is, and it's bad. And I'm like, oh, come on, dude. That's who he is, though, and it sucks, trust me, but it's not going to be enough to move the needle. And because of the economy. And before we go to Bill and Arlington's call, I also want to invite you to call right now. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I'm going to go now into the inflation, and if you think enough people out there are going to hold their nose and vote for a man they can't stand only because of the results he brings as far as inflation, peace, and a booming economy, or are his unfavorables so bad that most fence sitters will choose to vote for Kamala instead? And is inflation a top issue for you in your vote for president? Why? It sure is for me. 800-288, and also I'll throw in the same one we've been asking for the last hour and a half. Who do you think is going to win tomorrow and why? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. It's going to be Trump with a small landslide. He's going to win Pennsylvania, maybe Wisconsin, not Michigan. You never know, but maybe. They're saying all three blue walls are probably going to go the same way. I don't necessarily think that, but what do I know? But I will tell you this: we're going to win unequivocally Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and we're going to win Pennsylvania. And I'm going to give you more information on that in a moment, but well, here's a little bit right now, is on the early vote, Republican turnout has jumped in 4 battleground states that show party breakdown. This is from the New York Post. And ex-Obama campaign manager Jim Messina admits early voting data is a little scary for them. He says, several friends of mine call me panicking. Republicans didn't do what they did last time. Republican early vote turnout has jumped in 4 battleground states, revealing a party breakdown. And that means a 9-point jump of early voting in Arizona, 9-point jump in early voting in North Carolina, 4 points in Nevada, and 22 points in Pennsylvania. Female voter turnout is down, as I've mentioned, by 170,000 in Arizona, 46,000 in Georgia, 205,000 in Michigan, 154,000 in North Carolina, 126,000 in Nevada, 451K in Pennsylvania, 238K in Wisconsin. This is really freaking bad. It's comparing to last cycle in 2020. That's insane. Urban voter turnout, that's the black vote predominantly, bad. It slipped 385,000 in Arizona. These are the Democrat meccas, the strongholds. 385,000 less in Arizona, and there's only 2 major metros. It's Tucson and Phoenix. In Georgia, early urban voter turnout down 154,000. Michigan, 322,000. It's down. 175,000 in North Carolina. 192,000 in Nevada. 382,000 in Pennsylvania, 101,000 in Wisconsin. This is all bad for them. This is very bad. They don't want to vote for her. They're not motivated. A rich white old man is a lot more relatable than this woman is to them, the urban voter, the black voter. Okay, now, before we get into the business side and the inflation and everything, let's take Bill's call in Arlington. Bill, you are on WBAP. Let's go.
All right, this is a realigning election. And
it is.
The evidence comes from the voter registrations, the polling that shows various minority groups moving to the Republican Party. And so, therefore, we're going to win, and we're going to pick up seats in both the House and the Senate. Mm-hmm. Now, how big it's going to be, I don't know. It's kind of a mild realignment, but it's still a realignment, and that's what's important.
Here's what the realignment is really about. It's not just Trump is the main thrust, but it's not just him though. It is the fact that the Democrats have become much more elitist, much more wealthy, much more educated. And I can't hit this hard enough, but I'm going to describe it this way. I've got dear people in my life that are relatives, very close relatives, and they are way left, and they make very, very good money. Their combined is probably 300, 400,000, maybe even more than that. Okay, and they don't understand us. And they don't see what we see and what we deal with in those situations. Similarly, this story, and this man was very sweet, and he's a Kamala person, and he's lives in I think it was in Arlington or something. I can't remember where exactly, and here in the Metroplex, and he called in and. He didn't, he's like, yeah, this is kind of this and that, but it's still like everything's fine. And I said to him, and he was kind enough to tell me, I said, what's your total household income? And he said over 200,000. I said, no, I'm not mad at him. I don't begrudge anybody making 200, 400, 800K a year. 2 million. I don't care. It's all good. That's what this country is about. But I said, I think you don't understand. Because he thought the economy was okay, things are getting better, and I'm like, I don't think you understand. We are paying $21,000 a year more for the same stuff we paid, for 3-4 years ago, 2-3 years ago. And I said, and I thought about it again over the weekend in a moment of just normal life that had nothing to do with my job, walking or something over the weekend, and I thought about him again, and I thought the guy's name was Raj, and I'm not trying to rip on him, just it's a mental mindset thing, and I thought about him again. I'm like, he literally, the average family income in DFW is around 60 to 70,000 combined for a family of that or less, and he's making probably almost 2.5 times that, or 2.2 times that. So what I thought about was when we get hit with 21,000 increase in our existence per year, him it's like a $10,000 one, and or less, and so it's just not as noticeable. It's like a nuisance, but it's not killing them, and it's killing a lot of people out there. Go ahead, sir.
That's exactly right. And I was just thinking about that earlier in the show, the fact that those people, those elites in the Democrat Party, this isn't affecting them. The economy isn't affecting them. And so they don't care. But I need to point out.
And by the way, I don't consider Raj, who called in, I don't consider him an elite. I think he just doesn't know. He doesn't understand. Right. But he can relate physically and financially more to them than to us. And that's why it's even less of it's not even on his radar. He doesn't feel it or see it. Go ahead, sir.
I agree. One more point. You go look at the multi-candidate poll, not just the head-to-head. Trump is ahead by 0.2, and the three most recent polls, he's ahead in each one of those +1.
For what?
This is when you include all the third-party candidates.
Oh, well, let me tell you something else. That can do some harm, supposedly. And also, RFK Jr. is on the ballot in some of these places when people might still be like, I hate Orange Man. I know he's telling me to vote for Orange Man. I know he'll get a post with HHS, but I still don't want to support that, so I'm going to vote for him. And it'll probably take a sliver away. I'm not going to deny that. But as far as the third party, I don't think that's going to be enough to stop it.
Right. Well, no, what I'm saying is Trump has the advantage when you include the other candidates.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
He's doing better in that poll than he is in the head-to-head with Kamala.
I think the real problem for Kamala is the early voting is very bad for them. The urban vote and the black vote are not showing up in the numbers. They must have to win any election. For example, in Georgia, I forget the exact amount. My friend's an expert there because that's where he's from, and that's where he's run political campaigns for both parties. And you have to have somewhere around, I can't remember, I think it's 40% or 43% of the black vote to win in that state in a statewide race. And she's at like 36% or something. She's not even at the minimum threshold of the black vote to even win in heavily black states like Georgia. And then the same thing, the numbers, it's not the exact same percentages, but the same thing in North Carolina. She is not hitting the minimum you cannot win a statewide election without this many black votes. Then she's not hitting it. They are not motivated. They are not showing up for her. It's really like a come on, get off your butt and come on, just do this. And they're like, I'm sick of you telling me to do that. My life is miserable with you guys. F you. I got to roll, but I appreciate your call, Bill. That's literally what's going on. Now, coming up next, the hidden Trump voters, and I'm going to get more into the business aspect here. The Wall Street Journal says Biden economy is, quote, glorious if you're wealthy. CNN says the boogeyman haunting Harris and Biden, that Trump is cashing in on. Hint, it's all about inflation. And who's buying the homes? Well, here you go from CNN. Americans who bought homes in 2024 were older and richer than ever. That's who's winning, and we're not. All that is next on the Chris Krok Show, plus a great nugget tonight from Jackie Heinrich, who covers the White House, on what Harris is not talking about, and the reason why is bad for them as far as the results, what they know from the election, and it ain't no good. All that's next on the Chris Krok Show, plus your call. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Who do you think is going to win this election tomorrow? And do you think enough people out there are going to hold their nose and vote for Trump because even though they can't stand him, the results he brings for the economy and their wallets? Or are Trump's unfavorables so bad that most fence sitters are going to go with Kamala instead? And is inflation a top issue for you in your vote for president? All that is next on the Chris Krok Show at 9:49 on WBAP. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. And, well, let's see here. This is from Fox News as Alex Castellanos, a Republican pollster.
Somebody is missing something. What I think they're missing is a massive shift in voter registration underneath all of this. 31 states have voter registration by party. 30 of them in the past 4 years have seen movement toward Republicans. Somewhere, somebody is missing something. I think I'm not going to call it a wave, but I think there's a wavelet out there of Republican enthusiasm and registration. If I register to vote Republican, whether I'm switching or new, what am I going to do?
What am I going to do? So you also have from a Ronald Reagan former speechwriter and researcher for him, you have a man who writes a column, and it's entitled The Hidden Trump Voters Who Will Decide This Election. He talks about the hidden Trump voter being back, hasn't cast a ballot in recent presidential or midterm election or perhaps ever, may also be actively doing dodging pollsters, absolutely. Identity theft they're worried about, or being stuck on some dreadful mailing list, they don't want to talk to the pollsters. These citizens exist, and in large numbers. Do you know there was a poll that was just done? It was the Iowa one that supposedly shows Trump losing, that was just done, and guess what they put at the bottom of the results? 16% less Republican response in this. We keep that in mind. We adjusted as best as we could, but that is basically they caveated the results of the poll by saying 16% less Republicans even responded to it. And he says, this former Reagan speechwriter says, just ask Hillary Clinton about this. As a young member of President Reagan's political strategy team, I became aware of voters who suffered in silence under the bone-crushing inflation of Jimmy Carter years and quietly resented the politicians who eroded their rights. And that is exactly the same kind of stuff going on right now. This is the most amazing and powerful comeback story for any president, and he's going to win tomorrow. And it's because of the reasons I've been laying out. Also, inflation. Let me share that with you in 1 second. Jackie Heinrich, Fox News reporter who covers the White House, an observation. The Harris campaign, she says, has not been talking much about early voting data. When they have figures they feel good about, they share them. Like last week, when they announced that women have made up 55% of early votes across the battleground states. But for the past 2 days, we've received few hard numbers on young, black, and Latino early turnout. Instead, they've been sharing numbers for doors knocked and calls made. There's your red alert. She says they have shared some anecdotes like high young voter turnout in the college towns where you'd expect it, statements about enthusiasm, but they're not giving out the kind of details the Trump campaign is touting, like the Republican share of the early vote among newer and frequent voter battlegrounds. I'm going to pause it right there. Let's go to Mike in Mississippi. Hello, Mike. Let's go. You're on WBAP.
Well, it's actually Jim, Chris, but at any rate, I was just telling
Jim does sound a lot like Mike, sir. So forgive me for that.
Anyway, I heard the newscaster say there were some close Senate races, and I heard Ted Cruz on Bongino over the weekend bellyaching about Schumer wouldn't give him any money, and
yes,
well,
not Schumer, but Mitch McConnell.
Money,
yeah.
So. Is Ted Cruz in trouble? What's going on?
No, he's not. This happens every 6 years, and I wish he would do this stuff earlier, but Trump's on the ballot, and it's just not going to happen. Cruz is. Listen, you want to hear how pathetic it is to worry about it from my vantage point? The Real Clear Politics average of polls about 11 to 12, and Cruz is up 4.4%. Stick a fork in it.
Yeah,
right.
Now he said that sometime it went up to 5%, but he was afraid it was going to go down to 3%.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. I appreciate you, Mike. I got to roll it. Thank you, and God bless Mississippi. Up next, the economy. Also, we're going to get into Muslim TikTok influencers so turned off by how Kamala and her handlers did the interview with him, he decided not to air the interview. It's amazing. And betting markets. Actually, are they right? Like the poly market stuff? And downtown D.C. boarded up. Do you expect riots when Trump wins, as I do? All that's coming up next on the Chris Krok Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3.